from folktales to biblical citations and even satirical analogies characterized bits of the presidential petition at the Supreme Court hearing. Now this week, as lawyers took to the floor to argue their case while using relatable scenarios to drive their point home and convince the judges to rule in their favor. Well, let's take a look at what transpired this week.
We've reduced it to Mimi's childhood game of picky, ponky,
again.
Yes,
a hearing that was ideally expected to be tense. The legal fraternity left Kenyans mesmerized by the satirical analogies and hypotheses from folktales to biblical citations and William Shakespeare's little works, and not forgetting quoting history makers like Martin Luther King. The advocates and senior counsels impressed the nation with their language mastery, diction and articulation. Lawyer Willis Otieno took to the floor to make submissions on behalf of Helif Khalifa. Arguing his case, he likened the elections to a game.
Legal report did not make a recommendation for Jose Camargo, Diego Maradona midfielder, to sit in the middle and start distributing results.
A dramatization that had the court burst in laughter.
That is what I'm saying my grandmother calls Nairobi Karafu. And my niece Mimi calls Picky, Ponky, Pacamielo Disco. Because he called both of them. And he was the only person who knew who the disco would land on.
But as the learned friends are expected to act in a court of law, he was called to order.
I did give you brotherly advice. Be careful. That language appears to be alien to this court.
I'll be guided, my lord, I'll be guided. But the main...
Otieno was back again with the story of a plumber and the bathroom. This time, he was referring to IBC contracting Venezuelans and the accusations by lawyer Julie Soweto that one Jose Camargo interfered with the system. Otieno likened the alleged actions to a plumber who still locks themselves inside the bathroom long after they have fixed the problem.
A plumber who is in your bathroom when you are showering after fixing your shower is no longer a plumber, is a sexual offender.
The man, we can only say, did his job to argue his case and entertain the nation because boy oh boy, did he not break a sweat. To biblical citations, Professor Kithure Kindiki likened the actions by Azimio la Umoja lawyers and their clients to an attempt to benefit from the chaos at Bomas of Kenya when the presidential results were being announced. Kindiki was referring to the time Israelites championed the release of Barabbas, a convict, and agitated for the crucifixion of Jesus.
The image of our nation, including the conductors of the orchestra, are now before this court shouting loudest that we must release Barabbas.
However, it got a tackle from the one and only Willis Otieno.
That there was actually peace at Bomas. We had a choir singing the whole night and the whole day. If there was violence as was being presented here at 3 p.m., what stopped them from announcing at night those remaining polling stations, constituencies? What stopped them from announcing those constituencies in the morning? The choir is my witness. They were singing, there was peace, and everybody saw that.
And it was time for class, and those who went to Alliance understood what it means with Orengo serving at 5, while Githu Muigai receiving at 1.
Professor Githu is very happy about me mentioning school. When I used to be at Alliance High School, every year I took part in a school play. You had a lot of speeches which I think do not belong to a courtroom. They probably should have been delivered in some theater where people love poetry, like my learned friend, Professor Githu Muigai.
Well, Muigai also had to equalize.
We are the custodians of the form, the legitimate forms.
Yes.
And my learned friend, Mr. Orengo, needs his lunch now. He's heckling.
I suppose, unlike Professor Githu Muigai and Mr. James Orengo, I went to a school where they didn't teach us Shakespeare, they taught us Things Fall Apart.
There was also a light moment when Justice Moki Wanjala put lawyer Kioko Kilukumi to task for his biblical reference to Solomon's decision in a case where 2 women claimed ownership of a newborn baby.
And so, by the petitioner coming to tell you here, if you don't give me the baby, slice the baby into 2, you already know whose baby.
In Solomon's story, the protagonists were distinguished mothers But here, you'd call them two gentlemen. But I also remember that one of the mothers who turned out, or the mother claimants, who according to Solomonic wisdom could not have been the mother, is the one who was saying, cut the baby. But the other one, I remember, said, no, let her take the baby. Because what she was interested in is to preserve the baby. Would you be willing to advise? I rest my case.
And as the judges retire to deliberate on the final judgment.
So verdict, tuko na options mbili. Option ya kwanza ni huyu since alipata 50+1, huyu afanye 3 years. Wewe utapatiwa chance ya kufanya 2 years. Tuleni kama mtaki hiyo, option ya pili ni tusiendelee na nyinyi. Tufanye Wajakoya president na Maore deputy president, tuendelee na maisha. Haya, kama kuna shida mwende mtweet. Haya, sasa tumemaliza. Wewe mtu wa pikipiki ponki. Haya, tuimbishe tuanze kudance hapa.
Brian Amwai, Look Up TV, Nairobi.